I need the scoop.
A wedding just weeks away crumbles when a maid of honour reveals devastating secrets about the bride's past. This Reddit confession divided thousands as one man's trust shattered in the face of betrayal and lies that had been hidden for years. Get ready for a story about loyalty, deception, and the painful truth that sometimes love isn't enough to overcome broken promises.
I'm a 27-year-old man, and my relationship with my 29-year-old fiancée has completely blown up. I've never felt this unsure in our relationship, and I'm in need of outside perspectives. For context, we're college sweethearts. During orientation, I was touring campus, and she was my group's tour guide. That's how we met. She's my first love and best friend. Now we're in the height of wedding planning. About a couple of years ago, we had a rough patch with her shutting down and pushing me away. She wanted to take a break so she could find herself again. I don't believe in breaks. I wanted to work through it together, but her mind was made, so I agreed. We established boundaries for the break. We wouldn't see other people, and we were to have checkups about where we were emotionally. The goal was to reinforce our foundation. The break was only a month. We bounced back stronger, but it's still a sore spot. The break was the most distant we'd ever been, and the experience highlighted why I'm against it. Recently, my fiancée had a bad falling out with a mutual friend and maid of honour who I'll call Joss for clarity. She's 29 years old. Some nasty stuff was said, and Joss accused my fiancée of being a bridezilla and an even worse friend. I was under the impression their falling out was over disagreement about wedding details with the bridesmaids. Joss thought my fiancée was being unfair to the other women. They got into it and stuff was said out of anger. I hoped the rift between them would mend because they were close for a long time. They were like sisters, but my fiancée kicked Joss out of the wedding and uninvited her. The damage seemed to be done for both. I originally believed they'd work it out because their relationship has always been like sisters, but things only escalated. The other day, Joss reached out to me and said that my fiancée wasn't being completely truthful. She revealed not only did my fiancée see other guys during the break, but also hooked up with someone on their annual girls' trip. She gave the guy's name, but I don't know who he is. On the trip, my fiancée's group linked up with another they clicked with. Joss said it was clear the guy had an eye for my fiancée, and eventually she and he began wandering off. My fiancée ignored Joss's attempts at talking her down. It was a lot to take in. My initial instinct was to shut Joss down. Up until this point, I trusted my fiancée fully, but I couldn't overlook how much Joss's account matched my doubts from back then. Like I said, we were the most distant during our break. It wasn't on my part. There were times she was absent without leave on our checkups. During the girls' trip that fell on our break, she went radio silent in a way she wasn't on previous trips. There was truth to linking up with another group because my fiancée told me about it. She's still casually in touch with some of them. Right after the trip, she was gung-ho on calling the break off, how it was a mistake and that she was in a better headspace. Joss claimed this was part of their falling out. She was pushing my fiancée to come clean with me before the wedding. She felt I deserved to know and wished she would have said something sooner. I didn't say much. I was too numb to really feel anything. I initially didn't confront my fiancée. I was trying to process, but she could tell something was wrong and kept asking. When I did confront her, she was a whirlwind of emotions. She mostly ranted about Joss, but I told her this was her chance to tell her own story. She asked if I'd hear her out. I promised I would. She confessed to seeing other guys during the break, but claims nothing happened. She also denies ever hooking up with anyone on the trip. I asked her why Joss would tell the truth about her seeing other guys, which alone thoroughly broke our boundaries, but make up an elaborate lie about her cheating on the trip. She insists Joss is trying to sabotage our relationship. She said the other guys meant nothing and I'm the one she was in love with. It was like she wanted me to be grateful for choosing me. She promised to do anything to regain my trust. She said we're starting our lives together and I shouldn't let Joss come between us. I wasn't very receptive to her. We fought and I told her I needed to think. Ever since, she's been pouring on so much affection. She still swears she never hooked up with anyone on the girls' trip and that Joss is trying to sabotage. But I can't shake the possibility that Joss is telling the truth. All of this has blown up while we're in the middle of wedding planning. Invites already delivered, venue booked, catering being arranged, suits, dresses, everything. I feel so numb. I'm in love with my fiancée. She's my best friend. It feels wrong to doubt her, but I'm questioning everything, even myself. I don't know what to believe anymore. I feel like an idiot. My fiancée is trying to say Joss is being bitter because she kicked her out of the wedding and uninvited her, and that she's jealous. I don't know. I've known Joss for about as long as my fiancée, and she has never once come across as bitter or scheming. We have a general open phone policy. I've never done a search through her phone, but I never saw anything suspect from the time of the break to now. I'm considering reaching out to the other women who went on the trip. I don't know how open they'll be about it. I get along with them, but they're more of my fiancée's friends and they've largely stayed out of the falling out. How do I move forward for myself and my relationship?
The Reddit community overwhelmingly supported the poster's instincts, with many urging him to dig deeper and warning about trickle truth tactics. Armed with advice to seek concrete evidence, he reached out to the maid of honor for proof of her claims. What he discovered in those text messages would force a final devastating confrontation that shattered any remaining hope for their relationship.
Thank you to everyone who reached out. It helped give me, a 27-year-old man, much-needed perspective. I wanted to give an update. I wanted a fuller picture before making a decision on anything with my 29-year-old fiancée. I knew her friends and bridesmaids would be a lost cause. I get along with them, but they're more of my fiancée's friends, and their group runs deep. They weren't going to talk at the expense of my fiancée. I asked Joss, who's 29, for more info and for evidence to her claims about my fiancée hooking up with someone on their girls' trip. She said my fiancé avoided talking about that particular trip, especially over text. Most of their arguments were in person, but she showed me texts from shortly after the trip where my fiancé confirmed hooking up with the guy. She texted how it's in her rearview mirror, and she doesn't need a lecture about the past, she's focusing on the future. I knew the possibility, and my fiancé already confessed to seeing other guys during our break, but I don't know. Seeing those texts made it real in a way it wasn't before. In the texts, she expressed regret, but it didn't make me feel better. I confronted my fiancé, and I knew immediately by the look on her face. She came clean on everything. She thought Joss deleted the texts. Around the break, we were having serious talks about marriage. She started worrying she was missing out on stuff her single friends were engaging in. During the break, she sought validation from other guys and fooled around with that guy on the girls' trip. In her own words, she had a temporary high when he chased her but felt worse about herself post-hookup. She claims the break showed her what was important and that she wasn't missing out on anything. She was reassured we were right for each other. I hardly said anything to her. I mostly just listened. I was too numb for much else. She kept asking me to say something, but what was there for me to say? I felt her actions spoke enough for us both. She kept apologising for stepping out. When I asked her why she wasn't upfront with me, she said she didn't want to lose me over her biggest mistake. Her position that Joss isn't being noble hasn't changed. I told her Joss's motive doesn't matter, the truth is the truth. She asked if I could find it in myself to move past this. She said she loves me and she's fully committed. I couldn't tell her what she wanted. I said it was best the wedding be put off and I needed space to sort my feelings. She was against postponing and proclaimed this didn't have to define us, and she's still the same woman I wanted to marry. She asked me not to give up on us, but the same way her mind was made about the break, my mind was made on postponing. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't so much a fight, more putting everything out there. She cried a lot. She rarely cries. It felt wrong to leave her crying. My first instinct was to comfort her, but I was too broken to fake it. I've been hurt before, but she hurt me in a way only she could. I know postponing the wedding is for the best. The reason why I didn't call it off entirely is because I'm way too much in my emotions right now. Hurt, anger, sadness, and somehow numbness. At all possible, I try to avoid making decisions lost in emotion. I need to clear my head. I was so sure of my course in our relationship. My fiancée was my partner in every sense. She was who I wanted to make a life with. Sometimes she'd act so superior about our relationship compared to those of her friends. I feel so stupid. She says she's still the same person I love, but the fact is she had a secret life I knew nothing about. I'm trying my best to understand that, but I'm at a complete loss. I'm not sure if I can move past this. All the guests have been informed of the postponement. Some questioned why, but I've been vague. I'm just too embarrassed. I feel bad for the guests too. Some with limited means already booked flights and hotels and took time off work for our wedding. That's how far we were in the home stretch. In some ways, it doesn't feel like my life. We were just together, wedding planning and discussing the honeymoon. The honeymoon was a surprise destination for her, someplace she's always wanted to visit. Now we're here. I don't know where to go or what the future holds. For context, this break and the girls' trip happened a couple of years ago. Her friends from that trip are the same group of women she hangs out with today, the same group from college. They were aware of what she was up to during the break. She doesn't seem to want to accept that this has nothing to do with Joss. She's treating this as the past being dredged up. It's the past for her, but very much the present for me. I'm just finding all this stuff out. Even when I gave her the chance to tell her own story and promised I'd hear her out, which I meant, she still chose to withhold and give a version of the truth. I don't care what Joss's motive was when it doesn't change the fact that what she revealed was the truth. I expected her to follow the mutual boundaries we set for that break. Not lie, cheat, cover up, make me feel like I was overthinking and blame everyone she can. Thanks to everyone again for the support. It means a lot.
Sometimes the people we trust most are capable of hurting us in ways we never imagined possible. This heartbreaking situation continues to unfold as the original poster navigates his shattered relationship. So subscribe to catch any updates on whether love can survive such profound betrayal. Share your thoughts on trust and forgiveness in relationships in the comments, and explore our other videos for more stories about the complex dynamics of love and loyalty.